the first, so the first yacht that you chartered, so you'd phoned around and you'd spoken to some contacts and got some business essentially. So like you said, you de-risked it. How did you then go about selling the rest of the places?
So this comes on to the way that we came up with marketing the company, which is LinkedIn. Basically, we didn't have the money to spend on loads of marketing and all the time to get up SEO rankings. And at the time, our website was literally a one-pager. It looked rubbish. So we didn't have the money to get to pump into Google to pay for loads of adverts. We didn't have the website to convert the traffic anyway. We didn't have the time for SEO. We didn't have a big sales team or the money. And it was kind of the only thing we did have was my contacts in a way, but they were more agency based that we weren't going to really grow in getting the sort of margin. So I said to Chris, I said, look, we've got my inspiration for the way marketing was actually Paddy Power. I don't know if you've seen Paddy Power's their style of videos and their Twitter feed and all the rest of it. And originally I said, why don't we run our Twitter feed in a really irreverent way and just be funny with it? And we'll get, because I know our industry is incredibly corporate. It's a little bit dull. It takes itself a little bit too seriously. Like we're too cool for school, sort of people that work in it, especially the owners. They're not willing to have a laugh at themselves or take themselves too not seriously, so to speak. I was, and but then I thought Twitter's that's gonna be really difficult. I don't know who's on it, but LinkedIn you do know on it. And we use LinkedIn in my previous company just as basically a database to go and say, right, we just need to hit 50 MDs, let's go and find them on LinkedIn and then phone them effectively. So we didn't use it as a content marketing piece. So I said, there's this sort of movement that was happening at the time, 2018, of it becoming a little bit less corporate, and there was people on it, new people. There was people like Mike Winnett and Dan Kelsall and these sorts of guys that were using it in a different way I'd never seen before. And I was looking at the engagement of these guys and guys going, they're just being funny. They're just doing funny content. I can do that. I can do that, and I can do it in a way that relates to what we sell. So that's where I hit upon this sort of style of left field, funny, humorous, tongue-in-cheek, edgy type of content that would relate to what we sell. And it just went down. It just hit the right note, because the people that we want to buy our stuff are generally 35 years and above, 40 years and above. They've been around the block. They don't take themselves too serious, and they're just that sort of humour and everything else hadn't been seen. So it was just almost like a breath of fresh air for people. And so I quite like this guy, trying to run a good business, etc. And it's just content I like. So we just started getting leads through that way, and it just started dripping through. Then we won a piece of business from a company that took 10 people to the British Grand Prix. That turned into them taking 20 to Monaco, etc. So it just sort of snowballed from there a little bit. And we still wasn't using LinkedIn. I still hadn't quite figured it out at that point. We were still doing a bit of email marketing to a database that I had, and that gave us a little bit. So yeah, that's how we filled the yacht, basically.
I mean, that's incredible. And then you filled the yacht. I mean, that is just phenomenal. And I think you first came on to kind of my radar, and I absolutely love it. It was a video of basically you interviewing your customers where they said they had a bad time. And they also gave feedback on how much they disliked you as well, and personally. And it was just brilliant. And I think that was like one of the first videos I was like, this is, because I thought, I think like a lot of your comedy, I thought it was real. I thought this guy's actually put a video together and they've messed up, as in like they've actually just recorded.
Well, I'll tell you how that came about. Is it was a real. Again, myself and a man called Will, who's a brilliant videographer, sort of filmmaker. He and I share the same sort of sense of fun and comedy and all that. We're on a few. This is right at the start of Berkley Red. We're having a few drinks around Richmond. So we had 4 or 5 pints, and Will said, let's just go and do something funny on the street with a camera to try and do a piece of funny content, so to speak, for you. So, okay, what do you mean? So let's just go and ask people on the street if they've heard of Berkley Red before. So we got this. So we just stopped people on the street in Richmond and going up to blokes in bars and going, "Have you ever heard of Berkley Red before?" And people would go, "No," like that. And we would ask people, "Would you trust a company called Berkley Red?" No, not at all. Who are so we actually got genuine reaction on this video, and I still use it to this day. Still one of my favourites that we do, and it's just genuine reaction to us asking, "Have you heard of Berkley Red before?" And then it cuts to a sort of an end piece saying, "Please tell people about us. We obviously need the help," so to speak. And that's played. I mean, I put that video out and it went viral. So we got a load, and I said, "I love that. I haven't seen that before." And that then translated onto slightly more engineered videos of our customers, obviously, who have had a great time, saying this is. And I wouldn't James Clutterbuck, and he's just drunk all the time, da 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 da. And I just piece this stuff together because it works for me. Every single company out there can get a good review. It's dead easy. It's the easiest thing in the world to get a good review. It's much harder to get a bad review and just own it. So we sort of take these bad reviews again that just play really well on LinkedIn. It's just people saying, "I love the fact you don't take yourself too seriously, not saying, oh, we're the best of the best," so to speak, and you're just obviously normal people. And it speaks volumes, actually, that you get on with your customers and clients so well, they're willing to do this stuff with you. So, I mean, it just works.
How many followers now have you got on LinkedIn?
I think I've just gone through 45,000. I mean, it sounds a lot. I'm sure it's a lot for most people. But in terms of the views that I get over the course of a year, I don't grow that quickly because I think my content is so kind of niche. It doesn't appeal to the masses. It's not what we want. So I get people that follow us that really like that kind of left field niche stuff, which is not 80% of LinkedIn. So yeah, but I mean, ultimately that's an amazing number. If you told me 4 or 5 years ago that a football stadium would follow you and you've got access to talking to a football stadium daily, effectively, although it doesn't quite work like that, but do you know what I mean? You can talk. I can talk to thousands of people daily about what we do. That's the power of it.
Yeah, definitely. I think I read an article by Piers Morgan, and he said when he was, looking after the was it the Daily? I forget which paper he was. The Mirror, wasn't it? He could talk to about 1 million and a half people a day through his paper. Now he talks to 12 million people a day through social media, and he's one person. And that's the power of social media.
I understand that. I mean, I talk to a lot of business owners. I've got friends of mine who are business owners and did very well in life, MDs of big companies, etc. And they follow me on LinkedIn, but they don't do any content themselves. And I get a lot of messages from business owners, MDs going, I kind of wish I had the balls to do what you do, but I just can't bring myself to do it. And I understand that in a way. In a way, we had no choice but to do it. But I understand why people would be a little bit reticent. It is scary in a way, just to go, you put yourself out there for criticism, and you've got to have a thick skin and be able to handle people that don't like you, basically. Which a lot of people don't.
Do you get much backlash from people, like sending direct messages, or I've seen a few comments where people don't get it and they think you're being genuine?
Very few people are brave enough to direct message me. I get. Again, this forms a lot of what not a lot, but it forms a section of what my content is. Because I do a lot of satirical posts that paint me as the worst boss in the world, basically. I use Paul as a punch bag, and I talk about how we treat him or don't pay him very much or send him blankets in the winter as a bonus and all this kind of stuff that's just fun and satirical. But lots of, most people get it and go, ha ha. I get the joke, very funny. There's a section of people that think it's real, because it just satire or irony or whatever it is sometimes doesn't translate to people, or they just don't get it. So these people will come into the comments and basically abuse you. and like anything from like serious like swear words and all the rest of it. You're I won't say it on here, but to you're dreadful. Your company deserves to fail. Blah blah blah. So I just take screenshots of all these comments, and I use them in content and say, almost, do you want to do business with the worst bloke on LinkedIn? That sort of thing. I use them in videos. I should have sent it to you. I did a sort of a pastiche on the Hamlet cigar. You remember the old advert back in the day where the music would be in the background. So I sat in the toilet with a Hamlet cigar, just smoking and just saying, I put all these comments up that I got on. I think one of my posts went onto this Twitter feed called The State of LinkedIn, which is feral. I mean, the abuse is just like football stadium abuse. So I just got all this stuff and just put this each caption up there, and I was just saying, I think about ending it all, that sort of thing. And it played so well because I think you just own this stuff, and some people say, "Oh, I hate the trolls and all the rest." I love it. I think you can just own them, and just by making fun of it, it becomes powerful for you, and it's funny for everyone else.
I remember that. I do remember that video. I remember I was putting my kids to bed, I think, as you do, and you're scrolling through your phone waiting for them to go to sleep, and I remember laughing out loud when I saw that, all those kind of comments coming up.
No, you do get hate. You get genuine haters as well, who are just people who just don't get you and just say, I just don't like the way you're doing things, and it's not for me. Okay, we're not for you.
Yeah.
And that's part and parcel. Again, you've got to understand that marketing, and it's something that not a lot of businesses do understand, actually, is marketing needs to polarize your audience. You need to get, if you're too down the middle, you'll get people that might like you and might not, but you'll never get people that love you and fans. If you're too in the middle. We've got people, not only our clients who follow my content and they support it, I wouldn't say who they are and everything else, but they are our client, big business people support my content that are clients, and there's big business people who are saying, I'm not in the market for your sort of stuff, but I will support you because I just love what you're doing, and I love to help raise companies up. And that's what you find, the higher you go sometimes in business, is that people that are successful, and we meet a lot of them because they can't afford our stuff otherwise, they are so supportive of you and what you're trying to do as a small company. It's they're not trying to keep you down and everything else. They're trying their best to boost you up.